Christina. Welcome to the EO Wonder podcast.
Hey there, how are you?
So, Christina Stratton is the co-founder of Privai Spa and Salon. Is that the right way to say it?
It is. Privai is a skincare line my business partner and I developed about 16 years ago, and we recently launched our 5 locations in the DC Metro, Virginia, Maryland area. Yeah.
Congratulations. Yeah, I know. I read that you had 3 wellness and beauty brands since 2006.
Yes, we've been, it's interesting. We've grown our company. We started with just a simple day spa in Asheville, North Carolina after I left Los Angeles and started my own company. And from there, we were able to really develop spas and spa wellness concepts inside 4 and 5 diamond hotels. That was really our niche, other than standalone urban day spas, which is near and dear to our hearts because my business partner is a former massage therapist and worked her way up the ladder in hotel resort spas. And I come from the entertainment industry where I was developing brands, if you will, being part of my own brand, I5, International 5, which was a pop group, and really found a passion for being an entrepreneur and fell in love with skincare. And that's where I started the passion for developing product line as well as spas.
Yeah, I was reading that you and your co-founder had a chance encounter. Does that usually happen? You know, like you just meet someone and then there's just kismet. What was that like meeting your business partner?
You know, it's a great question. And as we near around 17 years being business partners, I believe in divine intervention, serendipity, cosmic, you know, like you say, kismet, just something drawing you energies together that are like-minded. And it was crazy. We moved here, and for the first time, you know, in Los Angeles, we had a 1,300 square foot house and thought we were the king of the hill. When we moved to Asheville, we actually were able to buy a 4,000 square foot house and didn't know what to do with all that space. It was almost like, we're just going to live in this corner. I bet people from New York understand that too. But I was going to buy a king bed for the first time in my life. And that was such a luxury to think about. So her boyfriend, who now is her husband, his family owned a mattress company here in Asheville. And we walked in the store. My daughter was 1 year old and wobbling around trying to walk. And he was so kind to her. And we just were like, I said, I'm going to open a spa here. And my husband left the film industry. He used to do lighting for film and television. And he secretly had a passion to do design. He's an incredible architectural designer by, you know, his own hands. He taught himself. And we just said, gosh, you know, this guy's so awesome. He started talking about his girlfriend, Alana, and how she's going to be a spa director down in Naples. She was just headhunted. And I was like, I've got to meet her because I'm opening a spa here. And that was the beginning. And I gave him my phone number to give to her. And of course, she never called. So being the LA kind of person I am from the entertainment industry, I walked on down to where she worked. And I introduced myself and said I had a meeting with her because that's what you do. Right? You don't get a role, you make that role happen in LA. So that's what I did. And we met, and it was like lightning in a bottle. And I've only had that happen twice in my life. And the first one was in the pop group that I was in. It was like lightning in a bottle. We were 5 girls from all over the world, and I was the American. And when I met Alana, I felt that same connection and immediate trust. And literally within 4 months later, she had worked in her job down in Naples, Florida, came back here for Christmas holidays, and we partnered up that day at a 5-hour lunch meeting, and the rest is history.
Isn't that great to be able to do that? And you said 16 or 17 years later, you're still...
Almost 17 years, yeah. I sang at her wedding. She's watched my daughter grow from 1 year to 17 and a half years old now. We've been through just hell and back when it comes to what we just survived through with COVID, and still going through that and trying to come out of that with all of our hair intact. And she's just a stunning, beautiful woman. She's brilliant. She has an amazing mind, but her heart is huge. And I believe in you get what you give. And so I felt like I was very trusting and open and honest. And I was 30 and she was 23, and I had lived a life of entertainment and performed in front of 30,000 fans a night, and signed autographs, and had a moment of fame about literally this big. We called it water on a skillet. That's how long it lasted. And it was over. But, I became a professional songwriter. I had kind of lived a fair amount of a life and done real estate investing. And Alana was just this really smart, intelligent, operationally just knows how things should roll and had a servant leader heart for the wellness industry and is very passionate about it. And so with that and myself, it was just this ball of energy. And we, to this day, I've watched her birth 2 children at home. I've, like I said, sang at her wedding, and I'm one of her biggest fans, and I think she's one of mine. So it's a great thing. And we tell our staff all these years, we tell the people that come and join our team or that have been with our team is buying a mattress can change your life forever. So be open to opportunities that you have no idea what's happening. If you don't keep your eyes open and your heart open, you can miss whether it's a loving relationship, whether it's a partnership, anything. You just have to really be in tune and be willing to be wrong and be willing to own when you're wrong. And don't ever go to bed angry. And that's not only in my marriage, but also in my business partnership, because it is a marriage. I've spent more time with her than I have my family on many, many years of occasions. They'll tell you that. Yeah.
Yeah, and there has to be a level of treating, your business partner, your co-founder with, dignity and respect, especially because you were probably funding the venture, Talk to us a little bit about that, about values.
Well, I think it's important to make sure whoever you're working with, especially in business, we'll go there specifically in entrepreneurship, it's critical that you, as best you can, everybody is on their best behavior in any relationship in the beginning, and you don't really know yourself too well inside a partnership until you're in it, until things hit the fan and you see how you react. I think the key was, we were funding this. We both, had barely a pot to pee in. We had just enough, and I had sold some real estate in LA, and I came to the plate with, here's what we got. And she came with incredible ideas and talent. So when you find that, you have to, I believe, you have to know your core values. And that was the critical component for us. Our core values aligned: family, friendships, where we placed importance of listening, trusting. There has to be an immediate trust. I believe you earn trust. We talk about this in our company, that trust is like a garden. You have to water and tend to it. You've got to weed it out. You've got to get rid of the weeds, or it will grow and choke you. And I would say the personal growth is something that I think women entrepreneurs actually have we've got a head start in front of our male companions in the world of business, because I believe that by nature, and I'm doing a broad brushstroke, of course, but we're communicators. We need to feel heard. We need to feel loved. We need to feel respected, of course, but there's a value there of, I have the ability to, even though I may disagree, or even though my knee-jerk reaction, I'm naturally bent this way, how is that going to serve this? And if you both, or the group of you, or whoever it is, if you're partnering with somebody, or you're in a group where you need to have leadership and listen to others, it is truly about, how do I need everyone in this opportunity, in this group, to feel leaving this meeting or leaving this call? Or if you don't have I feel a 50-50 blend of heart and head, like a yin and yang of heart and head, you'll kind of be heading down a road that's hard to, it's a lot, I'd say you'll struggle more than you need to, but that takes a lot of self-reflection and the ability to, we used to laugh, we still do, we call it, why do I suck? And that means we're gently saying that, but why do I suck? It's being able to look in the mirror and go, why do I suck? What did I do? What did I say? How was I perceived? Is that what I meant? How can I do a better job? Allowing someone to see through what I'm saying, because sometimes you don't have the words, you don't have the intelligence to know how to navigate, especially if it's a hot moment, and I'm prone to that. I'm an emotionally charged person. I live through my heart, not my head all the time. My business partner is the reverse. She's very head oriented and heart is second. So that's been a great yin and yang for us. But I will tell you, it's been the biggest lesson to me is knowing when to shut up and trusting my partner when she taps my leg. I gave her permission a long time ago which took a lot of me inside to be okay with someone that I was getting to know. When we were in big meetings, she knew how to operate inside a hotel, where it's all guys and they want to hear a certain way. And I come from the entertainment world, so I'm louder and more gregarious, and she's definitely more demure in those. And she knows how to work that room, and I didn't. And she would tap my leg, which would be like, okay, it's time to be quiet. I'd go, good. But that takes an ego kick. You have to be willing to get your ego smashed every once in a while. And I think her and I have been able to do that, which has been a beautiful synergy, and not always easy, but I think it's one of the reasons why we've remained successful over these years.
And alongside with values, probably also aligned with vision.
That's critical, because if you have polar opposites or even visions that are kind of close but not really aligned, you can start down a path that you end up and you're like 10 years later. I would think a lot of businesses go through that, because you morph, you mold, you change, you pivot, you get older, you get wiser, sometimes you get dumber. I mean, like what happens in your life dictates a lot. I mean, people get married, they get divorced, they have kids, my daughter, in the middle of our business, like right when we were just getting started, had a psychotic meltdown at 4 years old, almost 4. I had to go to the hospital with her. She regressed, and we thought she was autistic, which come to find out, 10 years later, when she was 14, she was diagnosed with Asperger's, which now is ASD, autism spectrum disorder. And we didn't know what was going wrong, and my whole world crashed. But I had a partner there who picked up the slack. And I think that our vision of our company has always been the same. We always wanted to focus on the people that were in the business, because without them, we're nothing. We're fun, we have a good time, we're smart, we know how to do it. But if I don't have people that can execute and do things through the DNA that we're trying to give them, and also pepper in their own value system and love, trust, respect, and discipline, those are our 4 core values, they're going to have their own little spin on that. And I think that's important, that people feel their own identity inside your company with the vision, as long as everyone's executing and can look back and go, are we living the mission? Are we living the vision? And we have to ask ourselves that too sometimes, because being an owner, you have to make decisions that sometimes, COVID was the perfect example of how do you furlough 250 people and not want to crawl under a rock and hide, how do you do that? And I couldn't have imagined going through that without having a partner to lean on. I think it was the only way that we could have got through that, because we didn't sleep. There was a lot of tears, and there was a lot of fear. When my husband cried, who doesn't cry, he cried, because we're like, we're going to lose our home. I'm probably going to lose our home, because I'm, leveraged to the nils, and my dreams and the work I've done for all this many years, and what we put into this, and the sacrifices, and the no dinners with the family, missing her, 5th Halloween, and all that stuff as a woman and as a mother and as a wife and as a business partner. It would have been too much for me personally, where I don't know how I would have handled that. Thank goodness I didn't have to figure that out alone.
And now we're almost, I guess, on the other side of COVID. Looking back, what are some lessons that you've learned?
Oh, man. It's interesting, because when we all thought it was 2 weeks, the devastation of like, and I have businesses in California. I've got 2 spas that I personally own in Los Angeles, and they were shut down. If I added up, it totaled almost 9 months. It was because it was back and forth. I actually got fined because I stayed open for a little bit, because I'm like, my staff have to feed their families. I don't know what to do. And it's in the spa industry. We have people that have fibromyalgia, and they're getting like incredible Thai body work from these therapists. And, I want my team to survive and give them the tools that they need. But the rent's going to be due. All the landlords in LA, I get it. Everyone did what they could, but guess what? They still are demanding that rent from that year where I didn't make any money either. So it was just crazy. And I think what I learned is that I love my family. I always knew that, but we didn't get to go anywhere. And I'm claustrophobic. So I started like having these moments of like, I got to get out. I got to just drive. And I would get in my car and just drive and be like, I'm so sick of being on Zoom. This was all we were doing, 14 hours a day, planning, figuring out, pivoting. And my business partner and I spent easily 14 hours a day, 7 days a week for months, because we were refocusing our energy on how we could come back from this alive. Because our company, all of our businesses, typically inside hotel spas, they were closed. They were closed. They were demanded to close. No staff were coming back. Everyone was scared. They thought they were all going to die. A lot of people did die, of course. And we just all thought it was apocalyptic. So the lesson for me, lessons plural, was just what I think everybody learned. I didn't have the luxury, and I was being truth and joking. I was laughing with my friends about, I would read posts from friends that were like, I got to do hot yoga today. I learned how to do it on YouTube, and I'm writing a gratitude journal. And I'm like, I need you all to shut up because I am in hell. Okay. And no one was talking about the hell. They were talking about how the enlightenment was happening. And I'm like, I didn't get enlightened at all, other than I'm glad I survived, and knock on wood, never got it. I was just like, please don't tell me that you've written another page in your journal, because my journal, I'm burning right now. You know what I mean? I just needed people to be real that were going through some stuff. And thank goodness, I had some dear friends that let me let my hair down and cry and laugh. But I learned how to we own nothing in this world. The only thing we're given is the grace that we give others, and the brain that God gave us, and how are you going to use it, and the heart that you have. And either you're going to do good for people in society and community and family and friends and be a light, or you can flip into a dark place. And I think we chose light, even though there were moments of darkness. And I think that I wish we had more of that in the world. And I think spa, some people think it's a luxury, which obviously it is. It is an expense. People used to think it's pampering. I don't believe that anymore. I used to when I was younger. I believe it's a necessity, because it is a prescription. It's an anecdote. It's a value system of, I need to put myself first, or I am worth nothing to my close, dear people that need me, because I can't reset, recharge, reinvigorate, think clearer, and I think that's something desperately needed to pay attention to in my own life, because I'm a workaholic. I like to work, and I hate that word workaholic because it sounds negative. So it's like, what can I say about it? I love doing what I do, or I wouldn't do it. And I think that was the lesson for me, is that I love what I do. I don't want it to end. I need to figure out how we can reinvent ourselves. And I think we did that.
And thank goodness you did make self-care a priority, right? Can you imagine without self-care where you could be?
I'd be scared what would happen to society. And I mean, for those that at least practice self-care, whether it's in their own home, being quiet, doing a gratitude journal. For me, if someone asks me, what's my respite? Because I don't always get to go to spas. It's kind of a nightmare for me when I go to spas, because then I'm judging them the whole time, and I'm analyzing and thinking it's too cold, too hot, their hands are rough, are they not? I mean, their nails are too long, and are they wearing a mask? Are we not? All of that fun stuff that is operational that I can't seem to escape from. But I think it'd be the same if I was a chef. Everything I eat, I would be like, I would actually hate to be a chef, because I'd be, everything that touched my mouth, I'd be like, is it too buttery? Too salty? So I feel that's the same as spa in me. And it's a bit same for my business partner. She says the same thing. We can't enjoy a spa treatment, and it's hard, because even a good massage is still a great massage at the end of the day, right? Because I can't quite get the same, like to get my hair done. But I do think self-care, albeit overused, everyone's saying it, but self-care is really, for me, this is the concept of Privai Spa Salons. Our goal was to take our skincare line, which is botanically based and rooted in natural ingredients, but taking that and morphing it into touch points that a guest, a client, a guest, customer, we call them guests, can experience over and over again. And they anticipate that, they expect it, because I believe 5-star service does not mean you need to be at the Four Seasons or the Ritz-Carlton. I believe we all have a choice of where we spend our money. And if we so choose to spend that hard, especially now with inflation and the cost of gas and bread and food, and if you choose to spend your money on yourself and your whole being and your wellness, I want you to have optimal spa experience. And if you don't, then that's our fault, and we need to figure out how to make that better. So I think that's something some businesses have lost, and I get it. Everyone's short-staffed, so we are in a crunch of people that hightailed it out of the wellness industry. Therapists, spa therapists, massage therapists. It's very difficult to find them. But I believe that you can't digitize, human touch. You can't. A robot can't do it. You can't AI it, and you can't phone it in. It's human touch. And that's one thing that I feel strong about, that Human touch heals people in so many ways. Think about it. When you go get your hair done at a hair salon, the best part is when they're washing your hair. Why is that? Well, it's because who touches your head other than your mom when you were a baby, probably, so there's something very cathartic about that. So, I say that just to reiterate how self-care was the staples, is like pivot and self-care, pivot, self-care. Everyone's talking those words, but we live and breathe it. That's our world. So I really revere it and respect it. I want to find new words for it, self-care, caring for oneself, loving thyself, wellness for the whole being, well-being, like what can we wrap it up and keep morphing and changing it?
And you also believe in personalized wellness. Talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. Well, part of the whole idea, it's always been part of our methodology with spa services and salon services, is that this should be personalized because it's not cookie cutter. One size doesn't fit all. And how do you do that, but also maintain consistency in a brand and consistency of touch points and DNA? Therein lies your challenge, because everybody is different and they're personal. So what we did during the pandemic is my business partner had an idea to develop an app. It's called Spa Space. And the idea behind that is we have an algorithm, it's patent pending. So this website and app are able to pair the gifts and skills of therapists, whether it's massage, aesthetics, nail, hair. They all have licensure. And specifically, we'll focus on massage at the moment. These people study in Hawaii. They learn lomi lomi. They learn ashiatsu. They learn trigger point therapy, rolfing. Thai. They learn everything you can imagine. Essalon, which is a whole different kind of massage. None of us really, unless you study this or you're in the industry, you don't really know what that means. You just go Swedish menu, Swedish deep tissue aromatherapy, I guess, hot stones. That's the static menu. We've done that for, this was 16 years we've been doing that. But during the pandemic, we had a time to go, hold on, what do people need? What do they want? And the guess was, and we did a calculated risk guess, which is people want to feel heard and they want to feel taken care of. And they don't want it to be out of a box, cookie cutter, put me in that box, because I have migraines. I have TMJ. I may have a totally different body than you. I have PCOS, which is a hormone imbalance. I may suffer from sleep deprivation. You may need to have deep relaxation. You may not like deep tissue. I may love deep tissue. There's so many things that you could do that a therapist, when you put it in our algorithm, that what's your goals? The goals are, I want to relax, I have migraines, and I get TMJ. Those points line up with the therapist certifications, and they've given themselves a rating of their expertise in those arenas, in all of them. Thai, ashiatsu, essalon, all the things I mentioned. That will ping you and get you tied up and linked to a therapist or several therapists that specialize in that field. They know it well. And it will also tag you to a place where you can go, a spa space, and get that service. So whether you're going and you want to go to a Four Seasons and they happen to be on our Spa Space app, or even a Privai Spa Salon, when you go to book that, you go to book your thing, you want this, you pick a service, you say, these are my issues. It will, through the algorithm, and it gets more intelligent every day when we're booking these, which is great. We've been doing this for 19 months now. It will algorithm you to the perfect therapist provider for you, which has in turn created customized, personalized massages and facials, things like that. And it makes it different. The guest feedback, 92% have said that it was the best massage they've ever had. And they didn't even know what was going on, like what type of service it was. They just knew that it was what they needed. And I think that's the answer that we all would wish for,
That is such an incredible outcome from, you said it was 19 months. So this was birthed when you were in COVID mode.
Yeah, we started talking about it prior to COVID, but it went into hyper speed mode because we couldn't come back as the same company. We would be bankrupt. We couldn't come back with this many front desks. We have these therapists on hourly. We brought everyone back on as an independent contractor, massage therapist, and esthetician, all of our providers, because we wanted to also respect the fact that these therapists needed to change their lives. a lot of our 98% of our industry and our company is women. They were now at home with their children who are homebound now. I was home every day with my daughter. She couldn't drive. She's, high schooler, and I'm having to literally pick her up off the floor from depression because she has no friends, and she's sitting there weeping because she wants to go back to school. And so not only were women in a really, you can see when you look at the graphs of women in the workforce, what happened to us. It's almost like we went back in time, 1950s. Like women had to go back and be at home. Not all women, of course, but this is what we did. And it's not an option. It wasn't even a question. This is what we're going to do. We're going to get home, be there with our families, give up our careers. So what we wanted to do was accommodate the needs of our providers so that they could get the schedule that they wanted. They could work 4 to 7 hours instead of like, you have to go 9 to 5 and it's this or that. You have to work on the weekends or that. And that's opened up our scheduling opportunities for these extremely gifted who don't want to be put in a box. A lot of those therapists, and our core demographic massage therapist is a 40 to 45-year-old female, because they're the ones who their kids are just a little older now and they have all the skills of years of being massage therapists. And if they go and work at certain establishments, they can't break out of that mold. They have to do the Swedish deep tissue. So it's really opened up their eyes to the using their skills and talents that they have to get every year. They've got to get certified in. So we were inspired by our therapists, and we hope that it continues to grow. The app continues to grow and therapists join our platform.
It sounds so amazing. Also, I had a question. There's a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs that are listening to this and like, wow, like she's gone through this COVID pandemic. She's got 5 salons. You shared a couple of, struggles, but, sometimes people think, gosh, I don't know if I can do that. What type of advice would you give to a woman who's waiting on the edge and wants to jump into entrepreneurship?
Yeah. That's a great question, because not everyone's cut out for it, right? Just like not everyone is a pop singer. Not everyone can, own a restaurant. Not everyone can do that. If we all could, then, it would make it not as special, I think, when you can. But I believe several things. I believe you have to have something unique and different. Don't copycat stuff, because then you're just going to be another of, if you're a solopreneur, let's say a solo entrepreneur, you have to have a good support system around you, because you're going to fall and you're going to fail and you're going to want to pack it up and call it a day. You're going to want to lay under the covers and not get up, because no one is going to be motivating you but you. You and whoever your sacred source is, whether it's God, Allah, Buddha, I don't care, the tree and the wind, the spirit, you need some form of energy, because nobody will light your fire unless you find what that fire is. And a lot of people, it's whether they are an incredible chef and they want to open a restaurant, whether it's a painter, it's what drives you. What are you willing to sacrifice for it too? Because we're talking, there's no payday for a long time. And unless you're a trust fund baby, which I was never, I think you have to have your support system. And I think the one thing that women specifically never focus on, and it was the mistake Alana and I also talk about it. So it's almost like one of those regrets that we had later on when we talk about it, is we never aligned and had a great relationship with a bank. You don't want to self-fund. You want SBA loans. You want people that are going to count on you. And I can tell you, in 16 plus years, the banks don't line up for women-owned businesses. My husband can get a call from a banker every day, no problem. He can get $100,000 credit card, no problem. His credit's good. You gotta have good credit. If you don't have good credit, you got to get your credit good, no matter what. But the only time we were able to even be heard at a bank was a female VP of SBA lending who happened to love spas. I can't tell you how many times we would try to go to a bank. We've self-funded this, like credit cards. We did that. We didn't move to our next level until we could afford it. We didn't overdo things. We took risks, calculated risk, and they're bold. I get that. And sometimes it's like this, but you get through that, and having a partner helps, because we can kind of cheer on each other because we're our biggest fans. But that relationship, I've been in banks where I literally have had, and again, not a male basher, Love me, my man, my husband, love him. But I will tell you right now, I've had men sitting in a bank in the position to say yes or no to us and be like, so what do you guys do there? You rub people and you do like jacuzzi saunas? So you do spas, like whirlpools? And I'm like, did you even read our business plan? Like, why am I sitting here? And I'm kind of a smartass. I mean, I did comedy a little in LA, so I would be like this. You're kidding me, right? Like, did you just say rub? Like, or they think it's cute to say, well, you can have this loan. Get on this back. Give me my rub. And I'd be like, no, I need this loan. So I would go, we'll have you in as one of our first guests. And inside I'm thinking, my husband would punch you in the face right now, right? But there is a misogynistic, this male thing. And don't even get me started on some of the hotel meetings we've had where people are like, I just don't understand that. They touch your feet and they rub your face. What? And you're like, oh, please. But I mean, we're talking years ago, and this is before Me Too even had a name or a hashtag. This was before hashtags existed. There was no social media. So you just look back, and when I talk to female entrepreneurs, I'm like, get in tight with a bank and try to find a female banker because they'll understand. They won't look at you through the same kaleidoscope, if you will, that male financial advisors or VC capital. You read it over and over again. Now, things are changing. It's wonderful. I love it. I wish we would have had those opportunities back then. So I do think it's a critical thing, the support system, and get a relationship with a banker because you're going to need it. If you're good and you can grow, you're going to want other people's money to make you money. Don't deplete everything you have because 1 out of 3 businesses fail, and that's on a good day. So I think it's important that women fight for their business and make sure you get aligned with the right people. Have a great lawyer. We never ask for what we deserve. We always accept what we're given. And I think sometimes we need to stand a little firmer and say, I think we can do better than that. Let me go shop that around. You know what I mean? And don't be afraid of no, because you're going to get rejected. I think I came into this with a thicker skin than a lot of people did just because I came from the entertainment world. When you waited tables for 7 years in Hollywood and you audition for things and you're so close and you're told, oh, you're not pretty enough, or you're too fat, or you're too thin, or your eyes aren't blue enough, or they're too green. You're like, what? You're trying to be everything to everybody. And then finally you just go, this is who I am. This is what I bring to the table. You can sign on board and ride this gravy train, or you don't need to. But at some point of the day, I've got to believe 1000% in myself, and everyone else can go, enjoy their day in a nice way. I'll be kind. I'll be sweet when I do that. But that's what I would tell them. Those are the 2 top things that I could think of.
And I do agree with you, because if you take a look at the state of business here in the United States and in the world, it's like men got a chance to play Monopoly since the 1600s, and women just started playing since the 1970s, because it was in 1970, it was at that point, women still needed to ask their husband and or their father to co-sign with them for a bank loan. What we're experiencing is not false. It's really just because we weren't allowed to play the game until a few decades ago. And so it's good crazy. For you.
Yeah, good for you. But you're an entrepreneur, you understand. And what if you really think about that, right? Isn't that insane? But we weren't even invited to the party. We weren't even allowed to show our fit. We weren't even allowed to show our wrists, for God's sakes. I mean, come on. I would not have done well in that time period. I would have been burned at the stake. Okay. They would have put me on a pedestal, but I would have been burned because I would have been like, all y'all need to go, because I guess I was born in the right era, because I am not good for that time period where women, they were to be seen and not heard, and I'm 48, so I'm not that old. I'm not too young. I'm right sitting in the center. And thank goodness there's some enlightenment happening. About time, I think.
Yeah, and there probably were some women similar to you, because that's how we probably made a little bit of movement. We made some small, sweet steps, since the 1600s, first voting, right? And then and business, and then, getting educated. But yeah.
It's a road. It is definitely a road. And, women, along with minorities, we're a minority. Even though we're 50%, let's say, of the population, we're still trudging for the equality of that. And again, I'm not a big, wave my flag and run out there with picket sign. It's just not, I'd rather say, get to work. You know what I mean? Like, I love it. I love that we have women that are so passionate about that. I say, keep it up. But you also need to have the balance of that, of the women that are actually able to physically move the dial. And how you move the dial, I feel, is through the action of whether it's you are doing a picket, you are fighting, you are at Capitol Hill, you are speaking up, and you also are employing other women, and you are moving that dial in that other direction. You need both of them moving at the same time.
And what's really interesting about what you're saying about, money and capitalism, women now today actually have the purchasing power. They own over $1 trillion of wealth here in the USA, more than men. Because why? They live longer than their husbands, and maybe they've inherited it from other businesses. But now it's turning. I think the tide is turning.
You're right. I believe that. And interestingly enough, too, we also are the purchasers. So we're the people who, example, for hotels and spas. Spa even became relevant beyond the whole idea of saunas per aqueum, which is what spa means, which is healing through water. It started as like the country club would have the gym, the tennis, then maybe this type of physical therapy, and then it morphed into. But we are the ones who are choosing where we're going to stay on vacation. We're choosing what restaurant we're going to go to, and we choose hotels to stay at if they have a spa. So when we go and we pitch a spa to a hotel because they know they need it to be at a certain diamond level, we're your core demographic. Discretionary income, certain age range, looking for this and this. If you don't have it, they move on to the next one. Our attention span is longer also than men's. So we have the ability to kind of, we're opinionated, and we definitely we'll change our shoes, we'll buy more earrings, we'll try new lipsticks and makeup, and we're not as loyal when it comes to brands as men are. Men are very loyal to brands. Interestingly, they'll wear the same shoes for 15 years. Women were like, never. We will buy 15 pairs of different shoes because it has to match the right outfit. We know. But when you get down to it, women will stay loyal to a hairdresser. Woo, they will die there. They will not eat before they'll do their hair and their nails, because they value, there's a value in that. When the Great Depression, they talk about what spiked lipstick sales because women needed to feel beautiful because they were feeling so depressed, and hair salons thrived. Other things thrived too during that era, but that was very important because it was a critical time. It just shows us, the level of how important, back to your self-care, but also that women are the ones who have the power. We just don't know that yet. And I think it's a matter of, we need to put a little shining bright light on that and go, hey, our money talks and it walks, and you can make a lot of things happen, whether it's political influence, whether it's brand influence. If things are happening you don't like happening with schools or your kids or whatever, we are the ones who actually can shift and change policies. So we kind of need to get our heads all together, because that's the other thing too. I believe women can have intense, healthy conflict conversations. And, yes, they say men can fight and get into an argument and then have a beer later and be cool. Yes, women, we talk, we'll internalize and all that. But at the end of the day, women, I believe, can intellectually and emotionally connect and get past the differences. And I do believe that's a cornerstone of how we can move dials for women in business specifically.
So now it's already April in 2022. I read one of your blog posts and you said that, 2022 is the year of you. If someone doesn't have access to your salons, because you're in different areas, they can buy your products. Like, what type of advice could you give so that women can prioritize their self-care?
Well, first, I think it's important to identify, what does self-care mean to you, right? Because again, it's personalized, it's different. Some people, self-care is literally sitting and rocking their 2-year-old. Wasn't my choice. That made me, I liked it, but boy, would I rather have been in bed curled up with a book. But, everybody has if you give women a moment to get the static out that's all filling. I mean, because women, we're known as webbers. We can handle 1,000 different things. And some people say it's multitasking. It's actually choosing what you need to do. We just are able to spin back around like a spider. But I would say that know what makes you tick. Know what is your triggers too. Like for me, if I have had a bad day or it was a bad call or something happened that I can't control, because I'm control freak, I think a lot of entrepreneurs are. You got to give up a lot of that control. And that's what COVID did. It kind of said, you're not in control. Never were. God does it too. He goes, hey, you know what? I'm just going to correct you real quick on that one. But I do think that finding out what is your thing, and you don't know that until you give yourself pause, you know what I mean? Because we're going and taking care of everybody else. And, what do I need to eat? Oh, I'll just grab this. When you take a moment, I found that mine is, I need to take only 10 minutes. I never go longer than that. Max would be 15 minutes, a very hot bath. I put my Privai oil in it because it's vervain and lavender, and I love that scent profile together. That smells more like lemongrass or lemon verbena and lavender blended. It's beautiful. I'll put that in the bath, a little bit of bubbles, and I will soak for 10 minutes because no one can come in, no one can talk to me. My phone's in the other room, and it gives me a moment of clarity and quiet. I need quiet because my brain is hurting. My heart and my head are in conflict with each other usually on that. If I'm in that moment, that is my chosen self-care, other than just, I call it numb and dumb TV, not Desperate Housewives. That show was a long time ago, but it was good. But like Housewives of Atlanta, give me some good stuff. I get some great comebacks from that, but numb and dumb. It's like, I just want to watch other people have a lot of stress because I never want to have that. But it's so good to be a fly on the wall watching a train wreck. But you know what I mean? Like there's something about that. What is your ticker? What is it? What do you need to go? That recharged me, And some people, it's going to a spa. It's getting their nails done, getting their hair blown out, getting a facial because they're presenting it to the world and they feel like they want to look as good as they can. And that means in their minds, presenting themselves softer skin or get their lashes done. There's something about that. Beauty and body being combined, it can be very synergistic in your spirit. And I think a lot of women judge themselves for wanting to feel beautiful. Well, it's only judgment if you have a judgment on beauty. Well, what does beautiful mean? Beautiful could mean someone sitting on the corner playing a guitar and you sitting and listening to them. That can be beautiful. Doesn't have to mean egocentric. You know what I mean? It's not about a mirror. It's more about, it's a reflection of what's going on. And I just believe in no judgment. No judgment. What's your gig? If you're not hurting anyone else and you're not pressing upon somebody else a negative thing, go nuts. That's why I'm not anti-Botox, nose jobs. But what do you need? As long as you're not hurting yourself and you're not doing it out of a self-loathe, because that is different. And yes, people do that all day, we know. But I do think that find out what motivates you, and no one needs to know. It's not something you need to scream from a rooftop. You know what I mean? Like if your thing is, hey, every 6 months I want to get Botox, makes me feel good. Go nuts. Just get a good doctor. Make sure you know how you're getting it done. That's all I ask.
You're so funny. I love that you were doing comedy. Would it also, because it's customized to you, would it be like watching a funny movie for you?
It would. The hard part is that it better be funny then, right? So it all depends. I'm a rom-com fan. I cry. Oh my gosh. Like the best movie I ever saw in my life, I would say, is The Notebook. I mean, I'm bawling
so
like a
great.
baby. So great. But then so was The Proposal with Sandra Bullock. I just watched that recently with Brian Reynolds. I love them. And my husband watched it. We're laughing. Like laughter, we know, releases dopamine. It is a heroin, if you will. It's a healthy heroin. So I always encourage people, do what makes you laugh or cry, as long as it's in a good way.
Both?
Not bad. Yeah, or both. I laugh and cry. And then, every once in a while, go hit a jacuzzi and put yourself in the bathing suit and stop looking in the mirror and judging your butt. No one cares. Get over yourself. You're okay. Because guess what? The thing that I have learned is your butt will fall and you will not have the best body the rest of your life. It's okay. if you got some pounds and the baby weight after 17 years still is there, like, let's give ourselves some grace. You know what I mean? It's exhausting to try to keep up with the Joneses, because guess what? They got their own problems too.
And you have some beautiful guided meditation on your site.
Oh yeah, we do. We did that a long time ago. Alana wrote a beautiful script, and I used to do voiceover back in Los Angeles for 15 years. And so I recorded the voiceover. We've got a spirit guided animal, which I never was really into until I did it. And then I actually saw it when I was doing this meditation. I saw an animal and it freaked me out. Like, I couldn't believe it. Like, at first I was like, this doesn't work. Come on. Because I'm more skeptical. I've always bring in the realist in the room. Alana's more of an optimist, and I'm more like, really? A little sarcastic, like, okay. But I saw an animal, and I remember being like, and every year I try to do it again and see what I see. Because if you look up in the book, you can look up, there's many books on spirit guided animals from Native American culture, Cherokee Indian, and you can see, like, what is that representing? Why? And then it's amazing how it correlates with what's going on in your life potentially. And then we have the heart meditation, which also just helps people center. And we used to charge for these, and now we put them on our website to make sure people can use it for free. Because, listen in your car, listen during a podcast, or if you're in between shows, just give yourself a moment. Whatever is your ticker, whatever makes you tick.
What's your spirit animal?
Well, the spirit animal I first saw was a white owl, and I was like, interesting.
Yeah.
The next year I saw a shark. Freaked me out because I'm like, shark, is someone
Was it a white
me?
shark?
No, I know, right? No, the white owl. What's trippy is that when I saw the white owl, I'm like, this is crazy. The next week, I swear to you, everywhere I went, there were I saw a white owl on the side of the road in Asheville when I was driving in the middle of the day, and they're night owl. I was like, did everyone just see the white owl? And they were like, yeah. And I'm like, like, I didn't even know how to tell everybody. Then I went to the store, and they had this little baby owl statue sitting in the thing. I'm like, okay, this is freaking me out.
What
and I
did it
swear to you,
represent?
well, for me, it was about knowledge, there was knowledge coming to me, or that I needed to gain knowledge over something that was going on. And at that time, I remember being like, what could that mean? And it came to light of like, you need to gain more knowledge in what it is that you're going through right now. And you need to understand. So it was like this, because owls are wisdom and seen as a protector of knowledge. And it really was fascinating to me because, whether people give it 10% of worth in their brain, it taught me something. It taught me to look a little deeper than superficially what I'm walking through my life doing. And I think that that's where you can learn a lot from traditions, especially with Indians, and learning, with the Native American culture, and going through and learning other cultures. You learn the spirit guided animals and spirit meditation and what it does for them and their culture. I think we all can learn from that for sure.
What about a shark?
Well, the shark was interesting because the shark came at a time when I was going through a lot of like transition and change for business stuff we were going through. And the shark was not a warning in a bad way. It was, there is something that's chasing you. It was more about internal chasing. And what was I chasing after? What was I missing? What was going on? And
Wait,
for me,
were you running or were you chasing?
I was chasing.
Oh.
I was chasing. So yeah, I was chasing almost like running after my tail a little bit, chasing and feeling that, obviously it's all interpretive. I could read that and be like, well, what was I going? Oh, that makes total sense. It's like when a psychic tells you like, oh, yes. but there was an element of like truth in the knowledge, and your head and your heart will lead you to what you need to get out of that story. And, and you can read several books and the characters or the animals can mean different things, and you'll be guided to the one that matches where you're at. And I felt it was quite interesting. So definitely, please feel free to share it to your audience, because it is interesting. If you allow yourself to go there, it's cool to see if anyone will see a spirit animal.
Yeah, I did it a couple years ago, and mine was a big dragon, and then it became small. Like it was just like, and it came back big. Like it was just like I had to like somehow, I don't know, talk to my little dragon when I was younger or something.
Maybe, right? Like it maybe, you start internalizing going, well, is it because I felt big or I felt small and I needed to search for that to feel big in that moment? Or what were you making yourself small for? And usually it's not you. It can be about your surroundings or people in your life too. It's fascinating stuff. It really is. I love it.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for all you do for women entrepreneurs. I know that you really support women. You're supporting your women, employees. You're developing these, vegan, botanical products, that are organic, that are so healthy. Thank you for just being you. I just have one more question.
Sure.
Is entertainment better than entrepreneurship?
No. And the reason why is because as an entrepreneur, yes, I will always have a boss, if you will, which is whoever is our guest, our customer, my staff, like our team. We are, employed by them. Like they are the ones who make me strive to be better. So I feel that, but I have more control to a degree of being able to execute a vision than I could when I was in the entertainment industry. When I was in the entertainment industry, it felt like I had to fit in a box. And if I didn't, next. And that's very known in our world, right? In my old world. And I felt like I was always dancing for somebody else or trying to be something that I wasn't, and it is exhausting. Being an entrepreneur is exhausting in a different way. It's got more self-serving moments and also selfless moments than I ever felt in the entertainment industry. That was self-serving when you were doing good, but you can't make people love you and want to listen to your music and stuff. I can't make people go to a spa, but I can create something that makes them want to go to a spa. So I just felt like, over here, there were just too many nuts and bolts and people in your way and people with agendas that that wouldn't work for me. Over here, it's different. There's not an agenda, and I think I thrive more in an environment that I can help maneuver and move a dial in a healthy way. And over here, if that helped me do this or this helps me do that, I'm game for it, Who knows? The entertainment industry always calls upon me. I still get those every once in a while, and I'm like, it's hard. I go, oh, don't tell me that I'm a good singer. Don't tell me that you want me to do comedy. Because there's still that side of me, that performer. But doing things like this feeds that part of my soul. So thank you for having me and letting me tell you a little bit more of our story, because it means a lot having another amazing female entrepreneur herself be part of this incredible just ecosystem that we create.
Yeah, you are extraordinary. Thank you so much for showing up. And for everyone who's listening, the website is privai.com. And make sure you check out her guided meditations, the products online. And if you're in one of their locations, check out her wonderful spa/salon. Thank you so much, Christina. You're just the best.
Thank you. You have a wonderful rest of your week. It's the weekend. It's Friday. Yes. Not that matters. When you're an entrepreneur, it's not Friday. It's just Monday. It was Monday. Thank you. I appreciate it.